Nancy drew Weirdness at Waverly Academy, a story by Arglefumph. Chapter 56, Investigating Izzy's Room. Nancy wanted to spend more time talking to Rachel Hubbard and her twin sister Kim, but the two girls convinced her to leave the hidden attic area. "You should go," Rachel ordered. "No one cares if one of us is missing, but if the new girl suddenly disappears—" "I understand," Nancy said. "It's late anyway. See you tomorrow." The twins waved goodbye as Nancy left their room. Nancy went straight to her own room and fell asleep almost immediately. She didn't wake up until very late the next morning when her phone beeped. "I have got to stop wandering around at night," Nancy thought. "It's wreaking havoc on my sleep cycle. Now who's messaging me?" Nancy opened up the list of messages she had received. The most recent one had come from Mel. "Hey Nancy, I heard that the missing Edgar Allan Poe book is inside Izzy's room. Why don't you use your detective skills to check her room, then bust her? I'm sure the headmistress would love to learn about the student body president stealing library books. Mel." Nancy yawned, then got out of bed. She changed into a spare set of clothes, then tried brushing her hair for a bit. Then she made a beeline for Izzy and Leela's room. The door was locked, but at this point, Nancy had broken into so many rooms that it didn't even faze her anymore. She quickly pulled out the ID card and used it to get into the room. "Well, at least I know how the black cat manages to sneak around so much," Nancy thought. "As long as you have a student ID, you can pretty much get anywhere in this school." The room was clearly separated in half, with Leela's things on the left and Izzy's things on the right. Leela's possessions included sports trophies and sports equipment. Izzy's side had her campaign poster and a lot of purple things. Nancy made her way to the work desk, which had two framed photos on it. The photo on the right was of Jacob, the boy who had dated both Izzy and Leela. The photo on the left side of the desk was of Izzy, looking rather smug. It wasn't a very flattering picture. Wait, why is the photo of Izzy on Leela's side of the room? Nancy wondered. And if Izzy has a work desk in her room, why does she use the one in the library? Nancy picked up the photo, planning to remove it from the frame and draw a mustache on Izzy's face. There was a key taped to the back of the frame. Nancy took the key and used it to open the trunk by the base of Izzy's bed. Inside the trunk was a familiar-looking blue cloak. "Izzy's the leader of the Blackwood Society," Nancy gasped. "Either that, or she's a walking fashion disaster." Nancy also explored the area in front of Leela's bed. Buried under some sports equipment was the copy of The Black Cat and Other Poe Stories that had gone missing from the school library. Investigation complete. Chapter 57. Could this be the treasure? Nancy Drew was ready and prepared to finally solve the mystery. According to Rita Halliwell's journal, Nancy had all the clues. She had the 4 Starburst tokens and the Black Cat and Other Poe Stories. All Nancy had to do was put these clues together. "Well," Nancy said, taking a closer look at the book, "there are 4 tokens, and each token represents a certain story. The token of the cat represents the black cat, the bug token must be the golden bug, and the raven token is probably the fall of the House of Usher." That was as far as Nancy got. Was there some place to use the tokens? Why were their dates handwritten next to the story titles in the book's table of contents? And what time did they serve meals at Waverly Academy? Nancy was starving after 2 days of not eating a full meal. "I've got to figure this out," Nancy thought. "My flight out of New York leaves tomorrow. If I don't solve the mystery by the end of today, it might never be solved." Nancy decided to take a walk outside and clear her head. There was more snow than the previous day, and Nancy was starting to think it'd be nicer inside when she noticed doors on the ground. Waverly has a basement? Nancy wondered. Wiping away the snow, Nancy found that the doors were locked. Fortunately, Nancy had the right key for the lock. It was the same key that someone threw at Nancy the first time she worked at the snack shack. Perhaps the anonymous rude person had been trying to help her. Nancy opened the lock and went into the basement. Turning on the lights, she saw that it was a rather dank room dominated by an old-fashioned furnace which had probably been there when the school was built. Boxes of old books were in a corner, and in another corner the brick wall was loose. Nancy looked closer. No, there were no bricks here. There were wooden planks. Planks with starburst-shaped indentations in them. Jackpot, Nancy thought. There are 17 starbursts here and 17 stories in the book. I guess I have to arrange all the stories according to the dates in the book, number the starburst holes from left to right, put the tokens in the appropriate starburst holes, and... no, wait. I've got a better idea. Nancy picked up a nearby brick and used it to smash the wooden planks in half. The wood was about 150 years old, so it crumbled easily. Behind the wood was a little hidey hole containing an old box. Nancy grinned. Rita Hallowell's treasure! This had to be it! Nancy opened the box and pulled out some blueprints. Blueprints? Weird, Nancy said. They appeared to be blueprints for the room she was standing in. Underneath the blueprints was a photograph of Rita Hallowell and her cat, Usher. Besides for that, the box was empty. Oh, no way! Nancy exclaimed. That's the treasure? A picture from Rita's photo album? I've been solving puzzles for the past 2 days just so I could get an old photo? Chapter 58. The Last Picture. Our heroine, Nancy Drew, was rather upset. Rita Hallowell's fabulous treasure was nothing more than an old photograph. This doesn't make sense, Nancy said, flipping through Rita Hallowell's journal to make sure there were no mistakes. I thought the treasure was something fabulous, like an unpublished book by Edgar Allan Poe. And besides, this doesn't explain what Rita wrote about the Dupin Gate in the Blackwoods Chant. Wait a second. Blackwoods Chant, Nancy thought. Does that refer to the Blackwoods Society? Nancy wasn't sure, but maybe, just maybe, there were a few more puzzles left to find before she got the real treasure. Yeah, that makes sense, Nancy told herself. Rita left a fake treasure just to trick people. The real treasure is still out there, and I'm going to find it or my name's not Becca Sawyer. Nancy paused for a second. Well, my name's not Becca Sawyer. That's just a fake name I'm using so no one knows who I am, and... oh, who cares? I'm going to catch the black cat and find the real treasure. That's what matters. Finding the photograph of Rita wasn't a total loss. That was one of the pictures Rachel needed for her web design project. Figuring it was best to wrap up that little assignment, Nancy took a picture of the photograph. Then Nancy went to the library and uploaded all the photos to Rachel's website. Immediately afterwards, Nancy went upstairs to Rachel's room to confirm that the web project was finally done. Becca, hey, you got all the pictures uploaded, Rachel said. You even found the picture of Hallowell and her cat. Great job! There's only one thing we need before we're done. You want some fashion tips, right? Nancy asked. Good, because I've been wondering why you're wearing a turtleneck and a suit coat jacket at the same time. Those two types of clothing do not go together. No, Rachel said. Corinne wrote an essay that won some kind of fancy award. The English department wants it on the school website, so I need a copy of it. Oh, Nancy said. I guess I can do that too. Any idea who the real black cat is yet? Rachel asked. Well, I haven't seen any students with pets here, but have you considered the possibility that it's actually a real cat? Nancy asked. No, Rachel said. She keeps sending me emails, remember? Every time it's from a different address, so I can't track it. Shoot, Nancy said. Chapter 59. Corinne's Essay. Nancy left Rachel's room. Rachel made a good point. Nancy really hadn't done much investigation into the identity of the black cat. That was mainly because Nancy was distracted, trying to find Rita Hallowell's treasure. Nancy decided to resume her investigation and she pulled out her suspect list. 1. Mel Cordless, pink-loving goth cellist. She is in a club that meets at midnight wearing cloaks. 2. Izzy Romero, student body president. She runs the club that meets at midnight wearing cloaks. 3. Rachel Hubbard. She is secretly 2 people. Call me crazy, but I think most students are 1 person. 4. Leela Yadav, sports superstar. Seems incapable of doing anything unrelated to air hockey. 5. Corrine Myers, my roommate. Socially isolated with subconscious desires to get back at her peers. 6. Becca S., French transfer student. I keep getting text messages about this girl. Who is she? Really, it could be any one of these students, Nancy said. But I haven't talked with Corrine for a while. I should see what's up with her. Nancy went back to her room and started a conversation with Corrine. Hey, Corrine, how are things going with the library? Nancy asked. Horrible, Corrine said. Somebody destroyed 3 special collections cabinets and we had to pay to get them replaced. It used up our entire budget. What a shame, Nancy said. Hey, I heard that something you wrote won an award. Congrats! Yes, it was a short story I wrote about a lonely girl who goes to a school where everyone ignores her, Corrine said. It slowly causes her to become filled with rage at her classmates, and she attacks them all one by one, disguising her actions as the work of a criminal called the White Dog. That's great, Nancy said, but I was talking about your essay. Oh, that, Corrine said. Yeah, I didn't think my paper was that great, but for some reason the entire faculty went gaga over it. I'll copy it onto a flash drive for you, but could you do me a favor first? Sure, Nancy said. I'm absolutely starving, Corrine said. And since you're snack shop boss, why don't you get me something to eat? Soon as you do that, I'll get you the essay.